Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place.
There has been a plethora of video game adaptations in the past few years, from anime to big budget live action movies to a weekly HBO show. There has been no shortage of media releasing based on popular video game franchises. The most recent among them is Amazon Prime's Fallout. Fallout is a series of post apocalyptic dystopian role playing games. The first game in the series released all the way back in 1997 and was developed by Interplay. Since then, various sequels and spin offs have released, done by various developers. The most notable one being Bethesda Game Studios, and the most beloved games in the franchise being Fallout 3 and 4 by Bethesda, and especially Obsidian's New Vegas. Now, flash forward to 2024, Bethesda Softworks owns the rights to the Fallout IP. Bethesda Game Studios just had a massive yet critical failure in Starfield last year. Turns out it didn't have 16 times the detail. Well, since then, Prime's Fallout is the biggest project that has released, produced by BGS. Amazon bought the rights to make this live action series in 2020. Creators of acclaimed HBO series Westworld and their production company Kelter Films were bought on along with BGS and Amazon MGM to make the show. Well, now it's here. But is it any good? Is it a rare good video game adaptation? Or is it just another one to drop into the pile of dog shit video game adaptations? First and foremost, what Fallout succeeds in doing and what should have been most important was making the show feel like Fallout. I'm very pleased to say that it absolutely feels like Fallout. With its gorgeous wastelandic landscapes, goofy humor, gory action sequences, and in-depth lore-dependent world building, on top of feeling like Fallout, it also feels like Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy's previous venture, Westworld. That's not a bad thing at all. In fact, I'd argue that it makes it fit into the live action episodic formula even more. I love Westworld, and even with that bullcrap third season and the underwhelming finale, I know that it's a remarkable and well thought sci-fi series. Having even a little bit of that here was definitely to this adaptation's advantage. The director of photography here does his job perfectly. The cinematography is vivid and hopeful when it's supposed to symbolize love, excitement, and surprise. And it does its job perfectly in symbolizing hopelessness and betrayal when it has to. The editing is also great, especially in the finale, which I'll be talking about soon. I love the little detail in the scenes in the walls having film grain. It is a good job of separating the wasteland and the walls. The production design is fantastic, although the CGI is pretty hit or miss at some points in my opinion. But overall, the sets and costumes are very authentic and they feel faithful to the Fallout universe. The T60s especially are fantastic. The music choices are also really good and extremely Fallout like, but the thing you'll have your eyes, or should I say ears on the most, is Ramin Djawadi's fantastic score. All Hail the King. The Brotherhood of Steel and the Ghoul tracks are definitely gonna be the highlights of this album. The premise and general layout of the story here is nothing extraordinary or special. It's your simple stranger in a strange land story, but it's the events along the journey, along with the plot twists and the character interactions, that elevate it into an extremely intriguing and quite enjoyable affair. We have three main characters here. The first is Lucy, our main protagonist. She's a wall dweller who has to go to the surface for a personal reason, which I won't spoil. She's basically your average Fallout protagonist. Her character goes through a lot in this span of 8 episodes, and she's like, well,
okie dokie.
her journey is one you'll be glad to be a part of. Then we have Maximus. He's an ambitious Brotherhood of Steel knight to be. Even though the scenes involving the knights are pretty entertaining, but Maximus's story and motivation so far felt the weakest to me among the three main characters. but judging by the ending, they have a lot of potential for his character going forward, and I'm excited for it. But by far the best character in this show and the scene stealer is Walton Goggins as the Ghoul. He's not only badass and cool, but we see his story in the flashbacks, and the show slowly unravels his reasons and motivations for why he is what he is now. Those flashbacks, especially in the finale and the last few episodes, were definitely my favorite part of the season. I am so happy to see Walton Goggins finally get the love and recognition he deserves after years of giving banger TV performances on FX's The Shield and Justified.
At the end of the day, you're still just a nigga.
The character interactions and relationships are also A+. The scenes with Lucy and the Ghoul together are absolute television gold. How Lucy's relationship develops not only with characters like Maximus but also with the Wasteland is something you don't want to miss. There's another plotline inside Vault 33 which was kind of a slog with its pacing for me, but how it all ties together in the finale is perfect and kind of makes me forgive it. Now that brings us to the finale. I'm gonna be talking about this separately here because the finale kind of blew me away and I think it deserves to be talked about on its own. This is one of those shows where the rest of the episodes focus on relationships, character development and world building, but leaves all the big reveals, plot twists and character crossroads for the finale. The finale was an extremely satisfying episode of TV from start to finish. Every character's story ties in together perfectly and we see a lot of reveals. I'm gonna be issuing a spoiler warning here before I talk any further. I just have to talk about that whole sequence in the finale where in the flashback with the Ghoul he hears his wife suggest the option to drop the bombs and we see him shaking hands with Lucy's dad. That was some mind-blowing shit. Even though I kind of saw it coming, it's the execution of it which made it so perfect. Walton Goggins and Ella Purnell gave amazing performances in that scene, but it was Kyle MacLachlan's role as Hank McLean that stole the scene. He showed Hank's desperation and pettiness in that moment with perfection. His face-off with the Ghoul was also spectacular. I frankly cannot wait for the next season and I am looking forward to seeing the Ghoul and Lucy work together. But honestly, I'm most interested in what will happen with Maximus now. Like I mentioned, he was the weakest main character, but the position his character ended up in, a lot can happen with that. Is he going to become the reluctant antagonist for Lucy and Howard's story? Is he gonna reunite with Lucy? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out. Now, one of the biggest talking points about this show since its release has been the alleged retcon of New Vegas. New Vegas is one of the most beloved games in the franchise, and I'd go as far as saying it's the best one in the franchise. Before moving on, I'm gonna issue another spoiler warning here for not only the series but New Vegas and probably all of Fallout lore. Now, I don't think Vault-Tec being the one that dropped the nukes retcons any lore, since that has been part of official Fallout lore and Bible since long ago. The main reason is, well, the apparent destruction of Shady Sands before the events of New Vegas. It's basically the Brotherhood of Steel being in 76 debate all over again. But did they actually retcon it? Now, NCR is highly active in New Vegas and Mojave, and there is no mention of Shady Sands being nuked. So did BGS retcon New Vegas? Well, it's kind of common knowledge that they don't like New Vegas because they didn't make it and it's the best one. So maybe they retconned it. But the NCR also had outposts and maybe the nuking happened later as there's an arrow alongside it. Maybe the fall of Shady Sands was something else. Or maybe the NCR was on its last legs during New Vegas after the fall of Shady Sands. We will probably never know until it is confirmed, or maybe I'm coping too hard. Now, all of this is kind of speculation, and I don't think we can have a proper take on it until we hear or see more details. So, actually, Todd Howard has just confirmed that all of the Fallout games, including New Vegas, are canon. So yeah, I wasn't just coping, I was kind of like, right, I don't know. So yeah, yes, fuck yes. Now at the end of the day, this show was a pretty faithful adaptation and a well crafted TV show. Overall, it's a solid post apocalyptic sci fi series that pays respect to the IP and tells a great new story. I've always been for adaptations like this, that instead of directly adapting the games or the stories, are original stories set in the same universe. I loved Cyberpunk Edge Runners because of it, and I really like Fallout because of it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Fallout, if you watched it already and if you are gonna watch it, and whether you agree or disagree with my takes. Here's to hoping with Cyberpunk Edge Runners, The Last of Us, Arcane, and now Fallout, we're entering the age of good video game adaptations.
Okie dokie.
I don't